Do you have some of your gold that we can see? I got a little bit when we ran yesterday. It looks like pretty pure gold actually, with some bigger flakes in it. You got some nuggets. Here are the nuggets I've been saving over the years. There you go. This is a story about a $5.8 million gold discovery in Alaska. But it's not the story you think. We'll tell you all about the mountains of gold Freddy and Juan found, but you won't believe the other things they pulled from the earth. Things that point to ancient visitors, forgotten battles, and a history that seems impossible. This discovery started as a dream but quickly became a nightmare as a string of bizarre accidents and unsettling events began to plague their camp. Now, for the money part of it, we were thinking in the area, the material we're going to need is going to be around $3,500. As far as our labor goes, what we'd like to see, I think, at the end of the season is an ounce and a half apiece. Deal? Well, let's then heal. Sound good? Heal, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, I'm good. Many people are crazy about gold, but what they found was worth far more and was infinitely more dangerous. Gold, ghosts, and greed. In the wild heart of Alaska, a place where the mountains touch the sky and the rivers run with icy secrets, there are stories and legends of lost mines, of fortunes won and lost, and of places so remote and dangerous that even the most seasoned prospectors dare not tread. One such place was a valley, a piece of land shunned for more than 100 years. The old tales whispered of immense gold deposits, but they also spoke of a shadow that hung over the land, a curse that clung to the very soil. You see, this was a place where miners had vanished, where fortunes turned to ruin overnight. It was a place to be avoided. But for veteran prospector Freddy Dodge and his trusted mechanic, John, it was an invitation. They saw what others didn't: potential. The thing nobody tells you about gold mining is that sometimes the biggest risks yield the biggest rewards. While other operations stuck to proven ground, Freddy and Juan pooled their resources for a high-stakes gamble on the Forgotten Valley. They were chasing a ghost, a legend that most had written off. The moment their equipment bit into the earth, they knew the stories were true. Not the spooky stories, but the ones about the gold. The very first buckets of dirt came up speckled with brilliant yellow. It wasn't just dust. It was heavy, chunky gold. The kind of discovery that happens once in a lifetime. Within 10 days, their small operation had pulled out over $1.2 million in raw gold nuggets. It looks like pretty pure gold, actually, with some bigger flakes in it. You got some nuggets? Here are the nuggets I've been saving over the years. There you go. The sheer volume was staggering. A single gold nugget can be worth more than its weight in processed gold because of its rarity and beauty. And they were finding hundreds of them. The ground was practically paved with treasure. Their camp was buzzing with excitement. The hum of machinery is a constant song of success. They were living the dream. Every day brought a bigger haul, pushing their total higher and higher. But not all things are what they seem. As they dug deeper, chasing the rich pastry, other stranger things began to surface. Alongside the glittering gold, the machine started unearthing darker fragments. At first, they were dismissed. Shards of old bone, splinters of wood that seemed unnaturally carved and twisted, and corroded nails unlike any modern hardware. It was odd, but in a land with a long history, not entirely unexpected. Maybe it was from an old trapper cabin or a failed mining attempt from a century ago. Yet, a sense of unease began to creep into the camp. The artifacts felt wrong. Freddy, with his decades of experience reading the land, felt it most. He had a gut feeling that these items weren't supposed to be found, that they were part of a different story that had nothing to do with a simple gold rush. The valley was giving up its gold, but it was also giving up its ghosts. And the most significant discoveries were yet to come. They were about to find an artifact that would change everything. Couple, there are some fine pieces in there. Some fine gold we found was really, really fine. Buy new gold, but it adds up. An axe against time. The gold kept coming, an unbelievable river of wealth that seemed to have no end. The miners worked in a frenzy, their spirits high. But the strange discoveries continued, pulling their attention away from the treasure. One afternoon, while sifting through the pay dirt, Juan's hand closed around something cold and metallic. It was a buckle so corroded that it was barely recognizable. As he cleaned it, faint engravings appeared. A knotwork pattern and a symbol that made the hair on his arm stand up. A serpent swallowing its own tail. It looked ancient, almost medieval. It was a design that had absolutely no place in the Alaskan wilderness. Many people are crazy about historical oddities, but this was beyond strange. This was impossible. Days later, the excavator struck again, this time unearthing a blackened hand-forged axe head. Its design was brutal and unfamiliar, nothing like the tools used by frontier pioneers or local native tribes. It felt older, heavier, and forged for a different purpose in a different time. The mystery deepened. Who were these people? What were they doing in this valley? Seeking answers, they spoke with an elder from a nearby village. The elders spoke of old stories passed down through generations of strange men who came from the sea before America was born. These men were not like the later prospectors. They were different, and their memory was a dark one in the local lore. The valley, the elder warned, remembered them. The sense that they were treading on sacred historical ground became unavoidable. Amber's heavy, isn't she? It's very heavy. It's a real pain in the ass to clean up. Yeah. So darn hard to separate it from your gold. The gold was a secondary thought. Now they were on the verge of a discovery that could rewrite history. Then the earth-shattering moment arrived. As they cleared away, overburdened to follow the gold seam, the excavator hit something solid and unyielding. It wasn't bedrock. It was a clean, straight line of dark, heavy wood. They had found a structure. Carefully, they began to dig by hand, uncovering a perfect square outline of hand-hewn timbers. It was the roof of a buried chamber. A breathless silence fell over the camp. What had they found? With immense effort, they cleared an entrance and descended into the darkness. Inside, the air was cold and still. The chamber was small, its walls braced with the same ancient timbers and stacked stones. In the dim light, they saw pottery shards painted with faint, faded colors, and everywhere more of those rusted, hand-forged nails. But the most stunning discovery was on the inner stones of the chamber walls. Carved into the rock were symbols, faded but unmistakable. There were what looked like Norse runes, the ancient alphabet of the Vikings, and next to them a crudely carved cross. It was a collision of timelines and cultures that made no sense. Vikings in Alaska centuries before Columbus. It was a theory long dismissed as fantasy, but the evidence was right in front of their eyes. The chamber held more secrets than just symbols carved in stone. Fortune's heavy toll. The discovery of the chamber should have been a moment of pure triumph. They had found not only a $5.8 million gold hoard but also a potential Viking settlement in North America. This was the kind of find that makes a person a legend. But the elation was short-lived, replaced by a creeping dread. You see, the thing nobody tells you about unearthing the past is that sometimes the past pushes back. The camp's luck began to turn. The surge in gold production continued, with one haul alone bringing in another $1.7 million. Yet, the price of this fortune was becoming terrifyingly clear. The machines, which had run flawlessly for weeks, began to break down in bizarre ways. And we're going to put an arm with a spring. But as this belt turns, what that's going to do is going to this edge is going to clean the belt. So that way we're not losing material and water down the back of this conveyor. Hydraulic lines burst for no reason. The engine seized and electrical systems failed. Juan, a master mechanic, was baffled. He would fix one problem only for two more to appear. It was as if a malevolent force was working against them. Then things escalated. A routine excavation caused a small landslide, and a worker was injured, narrowly avoiding a much more serious fate. Accidents happen, especially in the dangerous world of mining, where a single mistake can be your last. But the frequency and strangeness of the incidents felt different. Whispers of the old legend started to circulate again. The curse of the valley. The men grew quiet and suspicious, casting nervous glances at the dark entrance to the chamber. Freddy felt the weight of it all. He was a man of logic and reason, but he couldn't ignore what was happening. He felt like they had trespassed, like they had woken what should have stayed buried. You know, for a 16-year-old, PJ's pretty dang good on that excavator. I don't know a whole lot of 16-year-olds that can run equipment like that. The thrill of the discovery was gone, replaced by a heavy sense of responsibility and fear. News of their incredible find, both the gold and the artifacts, eventually reached the outside world. A team of historians and archaeologists, initially skeptical, arrived at the camp. Their skepticism vanished the moment they saw the artifacts and the chamber. They buzzed with theories. Were they looking at a lost Viking longship crew, an early Russian expedition, or something even more mysterious, like a Templar voyage? Carbon dating of the wood and bone fragments yielded shocking results, placing them centuries earlier than any known European presence in the region. The discovery was real, and it was history. While the academics debated, the miners kept digging, and the valley kept revealing its secrets. They found a bronze pendant etched with a design like a compass rose and a small ivory figurine of a man with wide staring eyes and a radiating crown. Each new artifact was another piece of an impossible puzzle. But each new discovery also seemed to stir the unseen forces in the valley. The strange occurrences intensified. This